Hey everyone, Tiffany Kelly here, and I wanted to create a video to show you guys some of the more creative things that you can do with macro editing. Um, so I pulled up two images. These are already edited. I edited them with the Britt Chandler Authentic set. Her presets are my absolute favorite. I use them on pretty much every color image that I edit. So I just did a quick preset on these, and I wanted to show you guys how you could play around with some overlays or textures. So one thing that you can do is sort of create a light leak effect or sort of like a light overlay effect. You can either do this yourself by hand using something like a graduated filter or a radial filter. So let's say I wanted to sort of create a fake light coming in from this area in the top. I could create a graduated filter and I could like warm it up to sort of simulate sunlight. I could brighten the exposure, brighten the shadows, um, maybe decrease clarity, and just sort of see what that looks like. So it would work better on an image that sort of already has some natural light coming from this area. I could enhance it, but this is sort of just a demonstration to show you the types of things that you can do. You could also try to make it more like a light leak for film or free lensing. So you could, add some pink and maybe saturate it some more. You can sort of play around with these types of things and do whatever you like. Also, if you have the Click and Mom's Garden Collection presets, I really like these sort of add-ons. They sort of create the same effect but with one click. So you can see Sunbeam there just sort of gets a really nice natural effect. Another one I really like for this type of image is the open shade ones. It sort of just gives a spotlight effect and sort of darkens the background. So I really like the way that that looks. This one I'm going to undo. And what's this? Oops. Yeah. So we'll get rid of those. So what I'm going to do now is send these over to Photoshop and show how you can play around with textures. So I'm going to export these and open in Photoshop. Okay, so now we have this open in Photoshop, and if you want to play around with textures, it's really nice if you can have some sort of negative space in your image, because that'll help your texture to really shine. So there's a few different ways you can apply a texture. You can like drag and drop it. I like to do file place for mine. And these are some textures from Jan Tyler that she is sweet enough to give to all my macro workshop students. So I'm going to use one of these that sort of has some nice warmth to it. And the fun thing about textures is you can totally play around with it and just do whatever you like. So some people like Jan like a little bit stronger texture. I tend to like really subtle textures, but it's totally just up to you. So you can play around with the opacity to sort of make it as dramatic as you like. You're also going to want to play around with the blending mode. So soft light is my favorite. It just sort of makes it a little bit more subtle. Screen is another one that I really like. It sort of just depends on the image. And so play around with those blending modes and the opacity and sort of see what you like. Another thing you can do is add a layer mask. So if you want, you can take your brush and brush it off of your subject if you don't want it on sort of your focal point. But again, it's just totally personal preference. And you can see I didn't totally erase it because I wanted it to be sort of subtle, but you can sort of play around with the opacity of your layer mask as well in terms of brushing off that texture. So you have a lot of freedom to sort of play around and see what works for you. And definitely play around with the different blending modes because you'll get a totally different look just depending on that. So I hope that this was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.